times in a row.
Two times in a row.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a pretty light agenda tonight. We have 2 agenda items, 2 applications, and 2 decision items. And we'll begin with our first agenda item, approval of the modification of language approved by the town board on July 12th in regards to the removal of the covenant restricting the sale of 102 East Main Street in Bay Shore, better known as the Soldiers and Sailors Building. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Second item is a special event approval for the Brentwood High School Homecoming Parade. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Guadron. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. The first application, Pioneer Drive, Bay Shore, has been adjourned. We will go to island-wide permit services. Madam Clerk, if you would please read the hearing notice.
Sure, thank you. Hearing number 2, TC 5403, Island-Wide Permit Services. Applicant requests a modification of covenants and restrictions associated with TC 2773 in order to permit a ground sign. The environmental impacts will be assessed on this property located in the Sachem School District on the east side of Main Street, approximately 280 feet north of Farrows Road in Holbrook. Town Board, Town of Islip, Olga Murray, Town Clerk.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam
How you
Supervisor,
doing?
members of the board. Kevin Guilfoyle of Island-Wide Permit Services, Lake Ronkonkoma, for the applicant, John Master. Madam Supervisor, members of the board, there was some confusion on TC 2773, in that stated specifically that there was not to be any ground signage. After looking at it, and consulting with the owner of the center, it looks like there might have been some confusion because this site actually borders County Route 19, also Patchogue Holbrook Road, which is directly to the rear of the site. As it stands, we're asking for nothing that any other merchant on Main Street has, to install a ground sign. And we're going to be working closely with ISO Planning and the Building Department to come up with a nice, agreeable sign for the community, whereby this site, due to its fact that it's perpendicular to the street, has limited visibility. So it would be very essential for us to have adequate and tasteful signage to attract people into this center. Right now, I think we're sitting with about a 40% vacancy rate in this center. John had purchased it 3 years ago, and it was almost 90% vacant. We're looking to attract new tenants there, and certainly signage would help.
Okay.
Nothing further, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Are there any questions for the applicant at this point? All right. If you would just take a seat, we'll just hear from the department and proceed. Good evening, Sean. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor, members of the board. As stated by the applicant, there is a covenant on the property that prohibits ground signs. It's the staff's opinion that this is probably an unnecessary burden because you can't view any of the tenancies from Main Street because the shopping center is perpendicular to the roadway. So any of those rear tenancies, you wouldn't know that they're there unless there's a ground sign in front. So we think it's perfectly reasonable to lift the covenant and we support it.
Okay, great. It's good to hear. Any questions for the department at this point? And we have no one who has signed up to speak on this application. So I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to close the hearing. Make it that can approve the changes.
We have a motion by Councilman Cochran. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Okay. You're very welcome. We'll continue now to the first decision item on the agenda, Joseph Howard, TC 5358. I'd ask the department to just review this for us at this point?
So the board recalls, this was reserved actually last year in January because the applicant had constructed the garage on the property without benefit of building permits. So in order to ascertain whether or not the garage was properly constructed, the applicant filed building permits. And over the course of those review, building staff has not identified any significant concerns with either construction or the plan submitted. Nothing's been approved by the building division. They can't approve it until obviously the board lifts the covenant, but it appears that things are going as they should have been had they gotten the building permit in the first place. So we think we're in a position where we could recommend lifting the covenant that limits the amount of square footage on the house as he did go and file the building permits.
Okay. Are there any questions for the department on this? Sure.
Sean, the setbacks are okay?
Yes.
They won't need a variance. That's the problem when you build before you get permits, is you can build into the setback, and then you'd have to go for a variance. They won't need a variance.
At least what's on the plan. Hasn't as built been submitted? I could defer to the architect.
The applicant is here if, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Same question.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thomas Bloor, the architect for the project, 60 Carlson Avenue, Islip Terrace, New York, 11752. Good evening, everyone. Correct. The garage is designed to adhere to all the setbacks.
Great.
No variance would be required, and the way it was constructed, foundation and framing, meets all the setbacks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so there are no questions or comments for either the applicant or the department. I will entertain a motion.
Since the public hearing has already been closed, make a motion to,
I'm sorry, correct.
to adopt the changes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Thank you. The next, you too. The next decision item, TC 5399, Islandia Motor Partners LLC. Sean, if you will, just review this particular item for us.
This was heard at the August 11th hearing. The board was asked to reserve decision because the Suffolk County Planning Commission had not yet issued a final determination. They have since issued a local determination, so it's up to this board whether to grant it. And there were no significant concerns raised at that hearing, so
Okay, yeah, basically, if I recall, it was just waiting for the county.
that's correct.
Correct. Okay. Any questions or comments?
Make a motion approved?
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second
Second.
by Councilman O'Connor. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved, and it appears that that is all that is on the agenda for the evening. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman O'Connor, second by Councilman Guadron. All in favor? Opposed? We stand adjourned.